Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Booze and Bourbon. I am Jean-Pierre, and this is Kimberly. That didn't go the way I wanted it, but yes, it's us.
Yes, and that is Jen with a French accent. And I actually spoke to one of my French friends this weekend, and I was like, Je m'appelle Kim. It's the same in English as it is in French. And she was like, yes, it is.
Yeah.
So I think yours is Geneviève, but if you want to be Jean-Pierre, that's fine.
Geneviève. No, I like Jean-Pierre better. I don't know why. It just sounds cooler.
Yeah, it's appropriate because you're pretty cool.
Thanks, Kim.
So, Jen, what's new with you this week? How's everything going?
Well, currently still renovating the basement, so there's that. I'm just counting down the days, trying to get that done because it's starting to get cold out, so I can't keep leaving all the windows and doors open when, it's dusty down there, so I'm trying to air everything out while there's a lot going on, so I need it to hurry the F up.
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah, I bet you do. I'm sure it looks great, though. Can't wait to see it when it's all done.
Yes, we'll have to have a little dance party down there, my new floors and stuff.
We'll have to have a little dance party to calm your ghosts down because it sounds like they've been all in a tizzy because of your renos.
Oh, yeah. They're definitely in a tizzy. Robert and Sharon are not cool with the fact that I ripped the shit out of the basement. So.
Oh, well. Sorry, Robert and Sharon. Get with the times, yo.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So, Jen, the topic for today is all about grandfather clocks. And they freak me out. Do they freak you out?
They're kind of like cool to look at, but they do always have that weird, eerie, I don't know. Yeah. There's just a weird thing about them.
Yeah. Like it's very hard. Yes. It's very hard to sleep in a house all by yourself with one of those things going off. Mm-hmm. It's not cool. Don't like it.
No.
So that's yucky. And then the other cool thing about today's episode is that we're drinking a new kid in town. And that new kid is Stagg Jr, which arrived at the Port Liquor Store in Halifax. And there's nothing junior about it, to be honest. It comes in at like 132 proof.
Damn. Well, he's just like the hotter, cooler son, you know?
Yeah, there you go. The hotter, cooler son. I like that, Jen. Yeah. All right. So let me just pour a little out here for my homies.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Whoa. Like I said, it's hot. It's hot. And on the nose, we've got some vanilla and some cinnamon candy and like a little bit of like a sour tart cherry and definitely barrel char. It's cherry, all right.
Sure.
And now I'm going to give it a little sip here. Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.
Getting a little fire there in your bourbon pocket.
Yes. Wow. All right. Can't wait for you to try this. It does have a lot of really great flavors to it. The finish is long. There's lots of heat. There's lots of vanilla in there. I think next time I try it, though, I'd like to add a little bit of ice because I think I'm a pussy. So now that we have that out of the way, I think it's very good. I cannot deny that it is very good. It's just hotter than what I would usually sip on.
Okay.
You're going to grow hair on your chest.
Damn. I mean, I don't know if I want that, but...
I don't know if you want that either. I had it happen to me and it wasn't very good. I mean, no, I'm fine.
Kim. Something new that we didn't know.
Yeah, I have to get it waxed now. I had too much of the Stagg Jr.
Maybe it was just like one tiny curly little hair right in the center, you know?
Like a really coarse one?
Yeah.
So gross.
A chesticle hair instead of
Ew.
the other.
Oh my God. Well, I guess that just this conversation makes way to a Would You Rather. So, Jen, would you like to play a fun little game with me called Would You Rather?
Yeah.
All right. Jen, would you rather have to spend the whole night all by yourself in a house without any power and a grandfather clock? Or Would you like to have a house that has full power, but there's renovations going on in the basement and it has stirred up the resident ghosts?
I mean, to be fair, I'm basically doing that now, so I guess I should opt for the creepy ass stupid clock.
Oh, you're going to up your game.
Yeah. I'm just gonna say, yeah, I'm just gonna do it.
Fantastic. I'm proud of you.
So, based on our previous conversation, would you rather have a very coarse, dense chesticle hair right in the center of your boobs? Or would you rather have one that sprouts out directly from that little piece of skin in your ear, like the one that people pierce sometimes? It's not your earlobe, but it's like that other part in the center, if you know what I mean.
Well, like you, since I already have one situation going on, I might as well go for the ear.
Good one, Kim. Good one, Kim. Okay, we're gonna give you that one. We're gonna give you that. That was a good one. Okay.
Okay, guys. So just after the break, we are going to get into today's topic, which is all about grandfather clocks. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Years ago, weekends would be the opportune time to visit your grandparents. Now it's time that you spend unwinding by yourself, with friends, your kids, or even your own pets. Just thinking about it now, sometimes you can't help but get the feeling of nostalgia every now and then. You miss the feel of your favorite counter stool in your grandma's kitchen and the smell of apple pie fresh from the oven, which always made your Sunday afternoons. You miss the sound of your grandma's voice when she talks to you about everything under the sun as you sat there with your tea and your pie. You miss the warmth of her smile as she hands you your treat for that visit. You miss the warmth of the teacup in your hands as you sip it while staring outside to the backyard through the window. You miss the taste of apple pie and cinnamon as you take a bite out of your pie. You miss the smell of your grandfather's tobacco pipe, the way he used to show you how to change the oil in a 67 Chevy. All of those memories brought back by the sound reverberating from one of those antique grandfather clocks in your grandparents' house. Ah, the grandfather clock. When it rang, your heart would stop, just for a second. It was alarming, especially in the middle of the night. What's even more alarming is the fact that it was passed down from your great-grandfather's generation. You may have heard about furniture or objects holding onto a person's energy. Perhaps this clock in particular is haunted. Let's dive into some stories about people having this issue, a haunted grandfather's clock.
All right, guys, now for our first story. My cousin Jerry passed away 2 years ago in September. Her brother cared for her and was very good to her until she died. Well, just a few months later, our families all got together for Thanksgiving at the brother's house. Dinner was out on the table, and Jerry's brother gave a toast to Jerry, and we all raised our glasses to her. He said some really sweet things to his sister, and we were all missing her and wishing she was with us. Suddenly, a clock on the buffet started chiming. The brother stood up with a really funny look on his face. Then he told us this. The clock had not worked in over a year. It was sent to a repair shop, but could not be fixed. It just started working right after our little toast. It works to this day. So it must be that our loved ones can somehow communicate to us through clocks. And I truly believe this. Clocksmiths will tell you about dust and atmospherics and not scheduling yearly cleanings. A, what do they know? Many years ago, on our first anniversary, my husband bought an anniversary clock with a chime. It stopped working. They always seem to stop working, no matter who owns them. And we took it to the clock repairman. But like your sister's grandfather clock, it wouldn't work. I left it in our house, always in a place of honor so everyone could see it. It's really a beautiful thing. My husband died 5 years ago. A few months after he died, I was still missing him, and then the clock began chiming. It was on what would have been our 54th wedding anniversary. The clock now works and keeps good time. I can't explain it, but I know what I want to believe. Finally, a reader tells me that in the 1900s, he had a haunted clock radio that would snap on at ungodly hours, always playing Celine Dion's My Heart Will Go On. Wow. I mean, being Canadian and all, I would like to say, I love me some Celine, but if my clock or phone came on at all hours of the night playing that, I'm definitely probably going to end up in a straitjacket. That's really what it comes down to.
On our first wedding anniversary, my parents gave us an anniversary clock. Not expensive, but I loved it. It kept perfect time for years. Mom passed in 1990. After a few years, it stopped. Changing batteries didn't seem to help. Because I loved it and it meant something to me, I kept it on the mantle. When we moved, the clock went with us, and it had its place of honor on the new mantle. But it was quiet, and the pendulum did not move. Until one evening when my husband and I sat in the kitchen, the clock actually chimed. Looking at each other, we went to the clock, but clearly it wasn't working. Puzzled, we forgot about it. Later that evening, my son was in a minor auto accident. Over the years, the clock chimed randomly, always announcing something, not always bad, most of the time good. It got to the point that when it chimed, I would say, "Hi, Mom." On January 6th, 2012, my dad passed away. Dad was a major do-it-yourself handyman. There was nothing he couldn't fix. The clock still randomly chimed until then. About a week after we buried Dad, we sat in the kitchen talking about him over a glass of wine, and damn, the clock chimed at 10:59 p.m. The next day, while dusting the mantle, I freaked out. The pendulum was spinning and the hands were keeping time. While it doesn't chime every hour, when it does, it's usually at night and always at 1 minute to the hour. I guess Dad is still working on it. Between the random chimes, I have a connection to my parents, who I miss tremendously. The clock stays as is.
Albert Howard was the fifth and last man to hang in Gonzales, convicted of an exceptionally brutal rape in late 1920 and sentenced to death. He was housed, prior to his execution, in the old country jail, next door to the courthouse. From the window in his cell, he could see both the high gallows where he was scheduled to die on March 18th, 1921, and the north face of the courthouse clock. Howard had proclaimed and protested his innocence from the time he was arrested. A hard-headed and skeptical Gonzales jury had disagreed with him. As the days left in his life dwindled, he developed an odd obsession. You'd think it would have been the looming gallows he stared at, day after day, with sort of trance-like fixity, but no. Albert Howard was obsessed with the clock. He couldn't see but the one face, but he knew that then all four of them told the same time. He could hear the clockworks ticking away, could hear the bell ring the hours, and knew that each face marked in remorseless synchronicity the hours and minutes he had left to live. And one day he roused from that dreamy contemplation of the clock's north face and announced, perhaps to another inmate, perhaps to a startled jailer, that once they marked in awful unison the crisp snap of his neck as he dropped through the gallows trapdoor, none of those clock faces would ever tell the same time again, would never count down the minutes of a man's life in lockstep efficiency again. Howard died at the end of a rope, as scheduled, on March 18th, 1921, and from that moment forward, none of the four faces on the Gonzales courthouse clock ever showed the same, let alone the correct time again. Ever. Well, I mean, maybe it's true. I do believe that they could obviously speak to us through clocks because they can use many other, lovely household items to speak to us through. Lights, radios, that type of thing. So that would make sense. But some of those clocks have a really like creepy ring to them. And like the ticking, I don't know. So yeah.
Clocks often remind us of just how short life is. People often refer to time as running out. Others refer to it in terms of not enough time. Helen, an assistant editor of a Denver, Colorado newspaper, shared the following story. One heirloom, a grandfather clock, was passed down through 5 generations of my family. This clock was unusual in that it not only noted the time of day, but it also noted the time of the death of its owners. My great-great-grandfather was the original owner of this clock, and at the exact hour and minute of his death, his favorite clock stopped ticking. My great-uncle then inherited this clock. His death also was noted by this amazing timepiece's failure to continue keeping time. The next owner of the clock was Helen's grandfather. This man's life ended at the exact moment this heirloom clock stopped. Helen's father was the next family member to own this timepiece, and he was weary of those coincidences and decided to stop the clock and put it in storage. One can't blame him. The clock this time did not note his passing. Helen, anxious to end the strange connection this clock had to her family, decided to sell it. Author J. Michael Norman shared the story, and he also told the following brief story about another inherited clock. After one family's uncle died, they moved various items that he had left to them into their home. The largest of these items was, of course, a grandfather clock. They quickly came to believe that this clock was still connected to their deceased relative. Whether they stood near it, they experienced odd emotions, and they also often felt cold spots. Strangest of all, they smelled the strong scent of their uncle's favorite pipe tobacco when they were near this clock. They decided to remove all of the uncle's possessions from their home. Things ended up calming down, and they no longer felt their uncle's presence. So I think it's pretty safe to say that grandfather clocks are creepy, and if they stop working, you better check your pulse. Oh my God. We used to have a grandfather clock, and it creeped me out so bad that I just insisted on my parents putting it in storage because it was just way too much. Hated it. Hated it. Hated it.
Thanks, guys, for listening to yet another episode of Booze and Bourbon. You can find us on Instagram. You can also find us on Facebook, Booze and Bourbon, the podcast. You can, of course, listen to us on any app that allows you to listen to podcasts. We are part of the ABV network, so you can also listen to us there. And other than that, we occasionally post on YouTube, but we would love to hear any stories that you have and that you want to share with us. And you can, of course, send those to us at boozeandbourbon@gmail.com. And again, we appreciate you listening, and we will talk to you soon. Stay spooky, everyone.